What's up, Sam Hacker? Let's dive into our next simultaneous equation practice sum. So here's where things are going to get a little bit juicy, but do not stress. I'm going to show you exactly what to do step by step to make sure that you get all the marks possible. So the first thing I want to do is figure out which equation I'm going to work with as my simpler equation. So I'm going to stick with the top one. I'm going to manipulate that, and I'm going to make x the subject of the formula here. But this is a little bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is say, all right, so we've got 2x is equal to 3y. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 so that I can get my x alone. Do you see that these 2's will cancel out? And what I'll actually be left with here is x is equal to 3y over 2. So I'm going to label that my first equation, and I'm going to label the other one my second equation. So now I'm going to say put 1 into 2. So wherever I have an x in this equation, I'm going to substitute this inside it. So we'll have 3y over 2 squared minus 3y over 2 times y. Do not forget that, okay? Plus y squared is equal to 7. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is expand these brackets so I can multiply out easily. So I'll have 3y over 2 times 3y over 2, and then I'm going to close the bracket. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my y into this bracket here before I work with the negative. And one thing I want to show you here real quick is that you can actually manipulate this a little bit by moving this y next to the fraction. And you'll see why I'll do that later, because it's going to make multiplying in a whole lot easier. So what you'll then have is 3 over 2, and you can stick the y at the back of that fraction like this. And then you say times y plus y squared is equal to 7. All right, I'm going to move up just a bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these 3's and y's with each other and these 2's, because when we have fractions, we multiply horizontally. So I'll be left with 9y squared over 4. And then remember I said to you, I'm going to multiply this y in. Do you see now that it's so much easier? I can see really clearly that this is going to be y squared. So let's do that now. Plus y squared is equal to 7. All right, so now I'm going to multiply this negative into this bracket, easy peasy. So I'm going to have 9y squared over 4 minus 3 over 2 y squared plus y squared is equal to 7. What you should be seeing is that you can actually add these together because they're all like terms. They've all got a y squared here. And remember what I did with this fraction where I moved the y to the side? I can do the same thing with this y squared to make my life easier. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. So we have 9 over 4 y squared minus 3 over 2 y squared plus y squared is equal to 7. So now you can see very clearly that you have a 9 over 4, a negative 3 over 2, and a 1 here. And if you stick that all in your calculator, you are going to get 7 over 4 y squared, and you're going to say equals to 7. So the next thing that you're going to do here is you want to get y squared alone. So you're going to divide by 7 over 4. But what you do on the one side, you must do on the other. So we're also going to divide this side by 7 over 4. Do you see here that these cancel out and you are left with y squared on this side of the equals sign? But then stick 7 divided by 7 over 4 in your calculator and you are going to get an answer of 4. And at this point, you might be thinking, oh dang, how on earth am I supposed to get what y is now? Don't stress. All you need to do is square root the y squared. But what you do on the one side, you must do on the other. So you must then square root 4. So if you square root y squared, what you are left with is then y. And the square root of 4 is going to give you 2. But this is only one of your values, because what I want you to see here is if we go back to this step where we had y squared is equal to 4. Do you agree with me that positive 2 times positive 2 would give you positive 4? So that's fine. We actually have positive 2 as our one answer, correct? But what I also want you to see is that negative 2 times negative 2 will also give me positive 4. Okay, that is the nature of this being squared, that it can be positive or it can be negative, but it has to be exactly the same. So what you're now going to say is that your other y is equal to -2. So simply write or, and y is equal to -2. And those then are your y values. I am going to carry on with the next part of the simultaneous equation down here. So all we need to say is put y values into 1, and then on the one side we say y is equal to 2, and on the other side we say y is equal to -2. And then we write down our formula for 1, which remember was x is equal to 3y/2. So let's plug it in down below. Now I'm simply going to substitute my y in. So I've got x is equal to 3 times 2/2, and that is going to give me x is equal to 3. And on the other side, we're going to have x is equal to 3 times -2/2, and that will then give me x is equal to -3. And those then are your x values. So the 4 answers that you should get for this particular equation is y is equal to 2, y is equal to -2, as well as x is equal to 3, and x is equal to -3. But that is it, Sum Hacker. Nice one. Let's keep the momentum going, and if you are ready to move on, then let's dive into the next video together and get stuck in.